So changing this particular form and adding items to the form and having those reflected down here in the cost calculator is very simple and is all done through a very easy point and click interface. There's no need to know how to write code or anything like that at all. That's why this particular plugin was used. We tested several different plugins for this and discovered that this was the only plugin that was actually completely point and click and didn't require any knowledge of how to write code. So I'm going to come back here into the back end and I'm going to go into settings, and underneath settings I'm going to come down to calculated fields form, and that's going to go ahead and bring up the interface that's going to show us all the forms we have. We see that our first form with an ID of 9 is our food and event trailer price calculator, and our second form with an ID of 7 is our camper price calculator. So to change these, right here I've got the camper price calculator up. Now let's say that the stovetop was $500 and I wanted to add another item down here right below that. So I need to change the value on this item, and I am also going to add another item down there below that. So the process, first of all, for changing an item, I'm going to choose the calculator I want, which is the camper price calculator. I'm going to click settings, and that's going to bring me into the visual edit field. This is where all of the fields available to you, they can be drag and dropped into the form. This is also where all of the settings for all of the fields and all of the form settings and stuff are edited. For instance, I haven't highlighted any of these yet. This is the actual form itself, and it's a nice point and click interface. You can drag these and you can drop these. It's very, very easy to change the order of items, very simple to do. You can also add to that by adding any of these in, but generally speaking, you won't want to do that since you're just adding in costs. I'm going to show you a very simple way to add in a new item, and it's going to avoid having to go through a bunch of different steps because we're just going to be able to simply clone that item. Since I haven't selected anything here, I could come over here to form, and it's going to see form settings, which would allow me to change the form name. If I wanted to change the label alignment, if I wanted the labels to be on the right, or I could change those here. I could also change the form template, but this particular plugin has been styled. We went in and wrote CSS to style this particular plugin so that it would match your theme out here. So that's why the actual plugin doesn't look like this in its native form. We've actually went in and styled this and created this page and added in the accordions for the different calculators here. So let's say I want to change stovetop and I want it to be 500. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually select that. As you see, when I highlight this and it's selected, this changes over here. This goes over to form to field settings, and it shows me the settings. One, it shows me the field label, which is this right here, and that's reflected out right there. Stovetop, that's your field label. Down below, you can ignore everything down here. None of this is important, whatever. The short label, the field name, the field layout, ignore that. That's all been set so that it matches, so that everything looks nice out here in front. So you don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to do is come down here where it says choices, and it says text and value, and you only actually have to change the text. If I wanted it to be 500, I could just say 500, and that's automatically reflected over here in the value. Now, I can take and change this value independently of the text. So I can have this text say whatever I want, and this value over here be different. So even though if I were to do this, even though it says 500 right here, when I save this form, it would actually reflect a price increase of 750. So always remember, when you're changing the form, just always remember to change the text value itself in this particular system. The value that's actually passed on for the calculation will automatically be adjusted if it's a number value. So it will automatically place that in there. It's just automatically going to copy that value from the text into here. But you do have the option for some reason, if you want this to be, if you want the value of what's passed to the calculator to be different, you can change that here. But these should both be, for the way this is in this particular system, the text and the value should both be the same, and when you change the text, it will automatically change the value. So that's all I need to actually do here. Once I'm done with that, I just click Save Changes. It's going to go ahead and save those, and now when I come back out to the front and I refresh, now you're going to see that now we've changed this to 500, and now when I click on this, it goes up to 20,000. Okay, so now let's add a new item in. Okay, let's say I'm going to add a stereo in but it's not a Bluetooth stereo. I just want to add in a regular stereo. Okay, now I could come over here and select a checkbox, which is what this is, and then go through the trouble of configuring all of that. Or, since everything's going to be configured exactly for this item, the only difference is going to be the name and it's going to be the price. All I'm going to do is I'm going to come right up here, right above total cost. I don't want to use that. I want to come right above total cost to the last item right here. It says Bluetooth stereo with speakers. I'm going to come over here, and once I select that, you're going to notice there's a couple of icons that pop up over here. One is a trash icon to delete it, but the other icon over here is to duplicate it. And so I'm going to click that to duplicate it. Once I've duplicated it, it's going to unselect everything. Okay, so I'm going to come back down here and I'm going to select this. And I'm just going to type in here, I'm just going to remove Bluetooth, so I just got stereo with speakers. So now I've changed the field label. And now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change the price once again to 500. Okay, that's all that I need to do there. Then I need to save the changes. Once I've done that, now that this was a new item added, there is one step that I need to do to make sure that the cost calculator recognizes it. Because right now the cost calculator is not recognizing this. So I'm going to come out here, I'm going to refresh this and show you what I mean. So if this happens, you'll know exactly why this happens. Notice when I select that, nothing happens down here. This does not change. That's because there was one step I didn't do. I didn't have to do that up here because this step has already been done with this since I was editing an item that was already on there. But since I added this particular item right here, there is one last thing that I have to do. And that is I have to come over here and select our total cost, which is our price calculator. Okay, and you're going to see this looks quite a bit different than the other field over here. There are quite a bit of different selections and stuff. And what I'm interested here, I just need to do two things. One, I need to add this field name to the equation and let it know that I'm wanting it to add it. So all I want to do is I want to come over here, and if you've got too many of these in here, you can just squeeze this down right here. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come into the end of this right here. I'm going to tell it that I want it to add, and then I'm going to come down to the last thing I created, which is field name 14. It's going to show you the title right there, stereo with speakers. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click the plus right next to it. That's it. All I've done is added field name 14, which if we look over here, you'll see this is field name 14. All I've done is added field name 14 to that. But I didn't need to know field name 14. I didn't need to know any of that at all. The only thing I had to do was tell it, once again, I'll show you exactly the process of how we did this. I'm just going to go ahead and erase that. You're going to tell it the first thing is, just look at the format. It's very simple. There's just a field name with a plus between each one. I wanted to come down to the operators, and under mathematical operators, I want to add a plus sign. And then I'm going to come down and select, let me move this down a little bit so you can see here, come down and select my stereo with speakers, which I just created, and I'm going to click plus, which is going to add that to that. Once I've done that, I just need to click Save Changes. I can come out here now, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this, and now when I come down here and I click on stereo with speakers, now it adds it to that. So remember, if you're editing an item already on here, you're not going to have to do that step. But if you're adding a new item to the cost calculator, duplicate that item, and then once you've duplicated that item, come down here to total cost. Open this up a little bit if you need to, and you probably will once you get more items listed on there. Select, go to the end of this calculation field, plus, select your item, and plus, and save. That's all it is, a three-step process. Very, very simple. So I actually don't want, since I already went into the cost calculator, I don't want to make any more changes. But what I do want is the stereo with speakers right here. I want to actually delete this. I don't want this here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click delete. And when I do that, it's going to delete. But now that I've deleted it, I still need to save the changes. So now that I've saved the changes, I can come back out here, refresh this, and now you're going to see that that particular one is now gone. So as I said, very simple, very easy to do. Now you're going to notice now all of a sudden this price calculator isn't working. Notice that? Okay? Because there is one further step that I need to do when I go in and I delete that item. And that is going to be to click on the total cost calculator and delete that field name right here from the equation, and then save those changes. Once I've done that, I can come back out here and refresh, and you notice now that our cost calculator is working correctly. So when the cost calculator does that, when you do delete something, you do need to know Exactly. You will need to come in here and you will need to remove that from the equation, whichever item it is. And to find out what that is, to find out what that field name is, the simplest way to do that is just to click on the item, and you're going to see that listed field tag for the message. You're going to see that listed right here. It's going to say field name. It's going to say 12. It's not going to allow you to change it. It's not going to allow you to alter it. This is something that's created in the system itself, so you can't alter it or anything. But you will need to remove that from the calculation. So when removing items, just know if you go out here and you don't see this working, okay, that means that the reason it's not working is because there is some type of field name in here, whatever it was that was deleted, some type of field name in there, and that needs to be removed from the operators right here. Whatever these operators are, these need to be removed. So oftentimes, one of the easiest things to do is, for instance, if I'm deleting body cover and I'm replacing that with something else, is just to, instead of delete body cover and then come in and clone something and replace it with something else, is actually just to come into body cover itself, and then I can change the field label and change the cost. So instead of, if you're replacing something with something else, you don't need to delete that item, and that way you won't have to worry about coming back into this cost calculator. You won't have to worry about coming into the item going, okay, I'm going to delete field name 11. I need to come in here, I need to find field name 11, and I need to get rid of it. Okay, you don't, if you're just replacing an item with another item, you can just leave that same item in there and edit it, and then you won't have to worry about that. Once you're done, you can click Save and Preview, and it will go ahead and bring this out here and allow you to preview the form right here, but you're not going to see any of the CSS out here and see exactly what this looks like. So to see what the form is actually going to look like, you're going to want to come out here and refresh the page once you've altered the form and make sure that it's working. And you can very easily tell if the form's working or not, because this will automatically be selected, and you can come down here and look. And if this is not automatically, if there's not $19,500 sitting in there, when you click these, it does not add it. That means that for some reason there is something wrong with the form. And if there is, by the way, nothing to worry about at all. It doesn't matter. This form can get completely annihilated. You can call us up and we can restore the form for you in 5 minutes. So it's extremely easy for us to do. So we do frequent backups of all of our sites and stuff, and that will automatically be backed up from your database. So anyhow, that's just kind of a quick overview of that. If you have any further questions, or if you have any specific features that you would like us to do a screencast on, just let us know.